Oh yeah. Welcome to the Lostview, if that's what you want to call it. I don't know, I just made up that name on the spot one day, and it's kind of stuck since then. If you listen to Jay and Jack's podcast, they played back one of my calls, 23 Tim. The very first call they played, that was me. I made an ass of myself in that call too. But anyway, so this episode was called The Man Behind the Curtain, obviously another allusion to The Wizard of Oz, but then they went so far as to even have Locke say the title, The Wizard of Oz, in the episode, which I thought was a little bit weird, but so we finally got to see Ben's backstory, in which he was kind of a deranged Harry Potter in his younger days, being recruited into the Dharma Initiative along with his dad, for lack of anything better to do, I guess, but anyway, so he goes there with him, and his dad is not really a very nice guy. He's a drunk, we've all seen this, so, I don't need to explain it to you, give you some kind of recap you already know about it, but what I thought was interesting was, like, when Ben ran away, from the other's village, and he put the code in, when I walked outside of the fence, and he met up with Richard in the jungle. So presumably, he made a plan with Richard and the rest of the original natives on the island to attack Dharma Initiative and take over their village. But the weird thing about it is that they didn't do it until like 10 years later, so... did Ben just return to the village like 3 days later and then wait 10 years to do it? Or did he stay with the others for 10 years and then suddenly return to Dharma Initiative's village one day, Because either way, it feels like we're missing a scene there or something, but then again, they only have so much time, so I can see why they don't show everything. We didn't get to see much of the Lost Ways on the beach, so there was a little bit about Jack and Juliet, and them coming up and all the tape recorder crap, and Juliet saying, flip the tape over, and there's a message from Ben on there. But, people are saying it's kind of convenient that she knows that Ben has a message on there, but it's like, well... I can accept that this is how Ben and Juliet communicated. They left messages for each other, and once one was done, they'd flip the tape over and start theirs, and by the time they got to the end of the first message, they'd be at the beginning for the other person to go back and just keep giving messages back and forth on the tape. So she knew that Ben's message would start if he just flipped it over. And Ben's message to her was, that they were going to come and take him and all. So that still could be a trick, I suppose, but... At this point, I'd like to think that Juliet really is going to switch sides here, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Juliet is one of the 5 who dies. They say that 5 people are going to die by the end of the season, and one of them is a fan favorite. I don't know who they are, so I couldn't tell you, so you don't have to worry about me spoiling it, but, with them shooting Locke at the end of this episode, I think they want us to think that the fan favorite who's going to die is going to be Locke, but I don't think it is. I don't think they would kill him off. I think it's going to be Danielle, because she's the second biggest fan favorite from all that I've heard. There really is nobody else that competes. It's like, Desmond used to be a huge fan favorite back in the, the beginning of season 3. Since this whole time travel thing, I'm not even sure if people don't talk about him as much these days. Charlie, well, he might have been a fan favorite in season 1, but he's kind of, more or less just a guinea pig at this point. Sawyer might be, I guess Sawyer could be considered a fan favorite. Jack is definitely not a fan favorite at this point. All I hear when people talk about Jack, everybody's saying somebody needs to bitch slap that guy. It's like, well, yeah, I guess so. But I think it's going to be Danielle. I wouldn't be surprised if Danielle and Alex reunite. 5 minutes later, Danielle kicks the bucket. It would be pretty cliche, but I could totally see them doing that. So, if I sound a little weird, it's because I'm running on 2.5 hours of sleep here, so you'll have to forgive me. One other thing that Cliff and Stephanie brought up in their podcast that I thought was worth mentioning, Ben's first flashback is the one where he's born. Every flashback that we've seen so far has been something from someone's memory, but most people don't remember when they were born, so that's different from any other flashback we've ever seen, because it's not a flashback from Ben's point of view. It's actually a flashback that's showing us what happened. It's a storyteller's point of view telling us what happened there. The only way Ben would know about his birth is by what someone told him about his birth, which his father told him that his mother died in childbirth. Maybe the only reason that it's showing the mother dying is because that's what Ben's interpretation of his birth was, because that's what someone told him happened. He is obviously not going to remember it, because nobody remembers when they were born. So all he has in his memory is this fabrication of what might have happened, what his mother might have looked like. And that might not even be what his mother looked like. But he just had pictures of it in his mind, or maybe he saw a photograph, I don't know. But the point is that flashback, it could be argued that flashback is not really what happened, but it's just what Ben was told happened. And, because of the rules that flashbacks have to be from a person's memory, or they have to be one person's interpretation. And if that's Ben's interpretation, and his interpretation, all he has is what someone's told him, then that might not be what actually happened, because they might have told him something different. His mother might still be alive. I'd like to think that, but then again, who knows? I think it would majorly change his mind about things. Wouldn't it be funny if Isabel was his mother? There you go. Yeah, because where the hell is Isabel? And Carl, for that matter, where the hell is Carl? Man, I think he went to, he's like, never mind, I'm trying to come up with a joke and I can't think of one, so, is there anything else? Doesn't look like it. Well, gee, how in the world did I get that in 5 minutes? Dude, it's taken me 10 minutes to say that before. Yeah, well, I swear I know I'm forgetting something, but, yeah. Did I talk about, like, Ben running away from the others? Yeah, I did talk about that. Well, how the heck did I get that in 5 minutes? That is unreal. That took me 10 minutes on the first 2 takes. It's sad that I even had 2 takes of myself with this written across my forehead. It's a wonder I haven't rubbed it off by now, because I'm always scratching it. Anyway, yeah, but the other 2 takes, I couldn't keep them because they were over 10 minutes. So I finally broke the timer out and said, okay, we're going to do this right now. But, yeah, okay, so anything else about Lost? Locke is not dead, okay, so don't you worry. There ain't no way they're going to do that. Okay, Jacob. I haven't talked about Jacob. What the heck, dude? So Ben takes Locke off to this house in the forest. It's surrounded by ash or something in a circle, which is usually, considered to be like a spiritual barrier to keep something inside. I think that Ben has Jacob trapped in there, and that's why Jacob was saying, help me to Locke, because he wants Locke to save him. It might end up that Jacob gets to save Locke, I don't know, but that was kind of weird. And everybody's saying, that Ben was just acting there, but I think he was really talking to somebody, and whether or not he could actually hear the person, I don't know, but he was putting on a pretty good act if he was having a conversation. I mean, he was saying, I can't hear with both of you talking at the same time, and he was really getting frustrated, so it seemed to me that he was hearing something else, because he seemed pretty agitated, when there was no reason. There seemed to be no reason for him, because we couldn't hear it, and Locke couldn't hear it. I wonder if the reason that Locke couldn't see or hear Jacob is because he didn't kill his father. Maybe he was supposed to kill his father because that's what Ben did or something. I don't know. Maybe it's a certain cycle where you have to follow in someone else's footsteps in order to become part of the religion or the cult or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I've got to get some sleep, man. I'm dead here, so I'm going to go and say goodbye. Take care of you guys, and don't let the bed bugs bite, and stay lost.